How many times have you had to set boundaries on people in your life that just don't seem to get it? And what I mean by this is people that are constantly asking you for favors. They're asking you for money, for time, for your emotional time, and you give it to them. And then they just continue to ask over and over again, and you continue to say yes. And in the meantime, you're not asking for anything in return. That's not the goal of it, is to get something in return because you want to be there to help the family member, the friend, the loved one. But each time they ask, it becomes more and more and more. And they start demanding it more and more. And they at first were a little bit more passive about it, with showing some sad emotion, but then it gets more aggressive to then they start going from passive to demanding it. Now I say this because if you emotionally invest your time into someone else, there's nothing wrong with that, but before you do it, you should always consider your own emotional health and be trying to prioritize your own emotions and your own immediate family. Because what happens is over time, if you continue to live this way, you'll end up maybe being in a very similar situation, and it's a circle. It's a circular game you'll start playing. And then as a result, you'll start developing more problems. And in general, sorry, I'm clearing my throat. And in general, what I mean by this is developing more problems if you're not addressing your own health. All I mean by this is your family and also your own emotions have to have value. And this includes putting boundaries on your job. As much as we want to be impressive to our managers, to our coworkers, in being the one to address whatever the problem is, you have to set that boundary. Because as with family as well, if you don't set boundaries on what you feel comfortable doing and what you feel comfortable taking on, you'll end up making more mistakes, becoming more irritable, developing more anxiety, and your mental health can decline actually fairly rapidly, surprisingly. And also what comes with this is, if you're somebody who is in a routine of working a 9 to 5 Monday through Friday, and there's an emergency that comes up family-wise, or you have somebody that continues to want and want and want in your life, what can end up happening with this is you hit a point of hitting a wall, and you have a rebound effect from it. Meaning, when you hit that wall, you won't know how to deal with your own emotions because you've been so emotionally invested in family, in your job, and not taking the time that you need. One reason why I'm doing this too right now, I'm taking a walk, for example. It's dark outside. It's still kind of cold, but with it being extremely cold where I live, I've even noticed for me, getting out and getting fresh air and walking my dog is one thing that it doesn't matter the time of day. It can be during light hours, night hours, whatever. If there's stuff I'm going through, one thing I can do that helps take care of my own emotional state is going on a walk. And just in general, going on walks is great for you. It's something that mentally, physically, holistically, spiritually, religiously, can just kind of put your mind at ease. And with it, a lot of times you'll find, if you're taking care of your own mental health, you'll notice that you will actually start spending more time on setting those boundaries and recognizing, sometimes when you go on a walk, for example, if you have a problem going on in your life or with someone else, how many times have you went on a walk and whatever that problem is after your walk, it seems to be resolved, or at least your stress level is lower. How are you doing? Sorry. How many times have you noticed that it's been lower though, or at least resolved for the time being, to where you can take a break for your own mental health? It happens more than you would think. I read a study in regards to this or actually multiple, that were talking about it. Whatever the problem is, especially when you get up in the morning and you have some stressful situation going on, how just going even on a 5 or 10 minute walk, you can temporarily de-stress. And when you do have to come back to the problem, and this is natural with it, when you do come back to it, you have a higher chance of dealing with it. My point being, if all you do is give, and you emotionally invest in other people, and this is just actually anyone, not just family, your job, etc., etc. If you're emotionally invested in someone else 100% of the time, and I'm not saying in a loving way toward your spouse or whatnot, obviously you should 100% love them. I'm saying in a way of you're just constantly, you don't say no for your own boundaries or your own emotions, and you're not setting those limitations. What will happen is, come on, Leia. Sorry, my dog loves to smell and eat stuff off the ground. I don't know if I can get her in the video from here, but if you don't set those, if you're not setting those boundaries, you will end up projecting your own emotions and become a negative person, and end up, as a result, being not exactly, but you'll end up mirroring sometimes the people that you're trying to help. For example, working in a psych hospital as an RN for me, if I take work home with me with all the problems that are going on, for example, patients with major depressive disorder, anxiety, PTSD, you name it. If you take that home with you, and what I mean by this is if that's all you're thinking about, whatever the day brought or whatnot, or just whatever it may be, you'll end up starting to project those problems onto your family, onto your loved ones. And what can end up happening is you'll start displaying those symptoms. A lot of times I know that if you, for example, if you have a lot of borderline patients together, for example, or you're around them, and this is why you shouldn't bring it home. If you bring that home and that's all you're thinking about, for whatever reason, even the stressful day, you'll end up, as a result, mirroring that, which can end up with you putting that on others and you treating yourself like that, being very emotionally unstable, having unnecessary anxiety, being set off by the littlest things, which can really, damage not only your own relationships around you, and what I mean by this is your loved ones, your animals, you start neglecting them, yourself, which can put you in those situations to where what can happen is you can end up being, as a result, damaging yourself, and it ends up being substance abuse. The reason I say this is just because if you just take 10 minutes a day, just 10 minutes outside of your job, or even better yet, if you can take 20 minutes to just focus on you, and I'm not just saying, not meditation. I mean, if you want to do that, that works, but I'm saying into something that you value, that you truthfully value, or something that has been shown to de-stress you. Make sure you get that done in the day, and have hobbies as well. And if you don't have hobbies, try to find things, try new things. If you have bad anxiety and you don't like to go out and walk during the day, go at night, obviously. Be safe about that. Wear a light if you need to, but little things like this you can manipulate in your life to where you can end up ultimately having the most successful chance of having, if you are having any stresses, just in general, maximizing your chances of not developing any long-term issues and avoiding a lot of these unnecessary situations that don't need to happen with your own personal mental health. And by setting boundaries, it'll help you long-term with your own confidence. which a lot of people don't have. If you can't say yes or no to someone, even a loved one, or even your husband or wife, if you can't say yes or no to them in certain situations and state your opinion, studies have shown that you'll just continue to do that, and that'll push over into your social life. If you can't make your own decisions, what are you then? I mean, I just will say that. We're human. We have our own thoughts, our own feelings, and you have to be able to express that. So I guess the whole point is just set boundaries for yourself. As a result, setting boundaries, make sure you have hobbies. There are correlations with these, with setting boundaries and having hobbies that are healthy hobbies, that you'll have the most successful chances of having not just a successful as in making money, because that's not what life is completely about. Yes, you need money, but it'll help you form stable, long-term relationships and have the most fulfilling, thriving life that you were designed to have. That's the point. And yeah, I wanted to do this because I just kind of have this on my mind today, because I like to go on walks in the dark. You know, I'll just go and say this now. My past, obviously, it's not perfect at all, but all I can do is take my life even one day at a time. That's all I can do. One day at a time, and try to become a better person. There's always something to improve on. And if you're just trying to get better in whatever way that might be, that's what counts. Love you all. That's your daily dose of mental health for the day. I might start a little walking series in the future. I've got more generic mental health videos coming out, covering really anything. And then I've got my running shorts and the spirituality aspect of it, which I'm still doing as well, so look out for that. Love you all. God bless. Set those boundaries and have those hobbies.